Wanted to take a couple of minutes tonight and talk about an experience that I had 2 weeks ago that has been a very difficult experience, and that was the passing of my dear sweet mother. For the first time in my life, I've been without her presence and her influence in my daily action, and it's been very surreal, to say the least. Just give you a quick rundown. She back in December she had gotten sick and just didn't feel up to attending the big family Christmas party. And anyway, after a diagnosis, we found that she had contracted pneumonia. And after about a week stay in the hospital, they released her to come home, but she just didn't improve. And so I ended up taking her back to the hospital, and where she stayed for another week. And they bounced her in between the ICU and a regular hospital room. And after the second round of antibiotics began to show some signs of hope, they released her to go into a care facility where she spent about another week and 10 days thereabouts, and just did not continue to improve. And so doctor said, let's get her back in the hospital and let's run a CAT scan and let's see if we can figure out what is happening. She was also diagnosed with RSV on top of that. So she went into the hospital, and when the doctors finished their tests, the doctor came out with some pretty grim news and just told us that the two infections that Mom had completely overwhelmed her body's ability to fight off those infections. She also has a blood disorder that she's been struggling with for the last 10 years or so, kind of a pre-leukemia. And a normal person's blood count usually will keep them somewhere up around 2,000, where the white blood cells are strong enough to attack any invading disease or sickness. Mom's count was at 200. And the doctors talked to us and told us that the infections had completely overwhelmed her ability to fight it. There was nothing that they could do, and that probably within a few hours she would pass away. Well, that was startling news to my brothers and sisters and myself, and we rallied together, and I grabbed my wife and called my daughters, and we met down at the hospital, and we were able to talk to Mom, and she was masked with an oxygen mask that covered her nose and mouth, and then a secondary mask that covered the oxygen mask, and that was to just hopefully keep the infections from being contagious for visitors. And anyway, we were able to get in and visit with Mom and talk to her, and it just, again, how do you process an event like that? Well, they ended up moving her to the hospice wing and placed her in a room. The room was number 777, and there's just a little significance there in my professional career. I studied quite a bit of ancient text and from the Holy Land, and the number 7 was quite significant to the Hebrews, the ancient Hebrews. The number 7 was a number that represented completeness or wholeness. For example, there are 7 days that complete a full cycle of a week, and then it starts over again. And when I saw that 777, I just was like, wow, isn't that interesting? Her cycle, her life cycle was about to be completed at that time. And we got her moved in, and the family gathered for just a little bit, and then they all took off, and I was left. I decided to, or agreed to stay for the first round or so and stay with Mom, and everybody else ran home to get sleep and so forth. And anyway, I was with Mom, and we visited for a little while, and the hospice doctor came into the room and began telling Mom that he was there. She asked her if she understood what was about to happen, and she said yes, she knew. And he told her, you know, sometime during the night she would probably pass away, and he was there to just help her to be comfortable. He asked her what she wanted, and she said, every night, she said, I take 2 Tylenol, and if it's okay, I would love some ice cream. And the doctor, of course, was talking about something stronger than that, like morphine. And but that was part of Mom's sweetness. She just, yeah, it was just the bare minimum was fine. And the doctor explained that what the medication would do, it would probably make her fall asleep. And he asked her, what else can I do for you? She said, I want all of this stuff off of me. And the doctor looked at the nurse and just gave her the nod to go ahead. And the nurse began to remove all the sensors and the monitors and the oxygen mask. And I was quite alarmed because I was like, she needs her oxygen. They were blowing about 15 liters of oxygen into her, and that's quite high to keep her oxygen levels saturated up in the 90s where they should be. And as they took everything off and turned off the monitors, the doctor turned to me and he said, is there anything, do you have any questions for me? And I was like, yes, like 1,000. And I said to Mom, Mom, do you realize that if without your oxygen, you're probably going to pass away? And she looked at me and she said, Greg, I know. Wouldn't it be wonderful? And I was like, oh, Mother. And she said, I have had such a wonderful life. She said, but I'm ready. I'm ready to go. And the nurse about that time brought in the ice cream, and it was so frozen that with her little plastic spoon she was trying to scrape enough ice cream to get it into her mouth. And they had already given her the morphine through her IV, and she was getting tired. And but as she got probably about 5 little bites of ice cream, and as she each time a little bit would get in her mouth, she would just be like, this is so good, it tastes so good. And that turned out to be Mom's last meal, and she really did pass away with sweetness on her lips. And as she got tired enough, she fell asleep. We had the nurse turn the oxygen level back on. They put a little sensor in her ear, and she turned the oxygen back on. The oxygen had fallen all the way down to 17, and the nurse said she's probably going to pass within the hour. So I quickly called my siblings, who had been gone for probably not quite an hour, and I let them know what the doctors, what the conversation between Mom and the doctors were. And so just the family came rushing back down to the hospital, and we were able to sit with Mom. Everybody pulled their masks off and their gloves, and we just held Mom's hand, and we just visited the siblings. We had to conference a couple of siblings in, and had a sister in Texas who wasn't flying out till the next day, but all of us were there, and we were able to hold Mom's hands as she passed away out of this world. And it was very tender and very, very sacred and very sad, and it was kind of all baked into the cake of that experience. And in the days since, we went ahead. We had the viewing and the funeral, and they were all very beautiful and very appropriate for Mom. But there have been a number of times where I've just had a moment where I've thought, oh, I need to call Mom, and then the thought hit me, she's not there. And I was driving down her street, and I thought, I'm going to stop in to see Mom, and then again the thought hit me, Greg, she's not there anymore. And it's hard to prepare for that moment. Mom and I were particularly close, and we spent many hours, so many hours, just talking and counseling and sharing and laughing and crying and just connecting. She truly was in my top 2 of best friends, and now both Mom and Dad are gone. And a few days ago, I was having a particularly hard time. I was just feeling really anxious. My wife was gone. I was alone at the house, and I needed something to calm me, and I just felt a prompting to pray. And so I knelt down next to my bed, and I just began to pray, and I began to tell Heavenly Father that I was struggling, and I was having a difficult time, and I needed some peace. And I said to Heavenly Father, I said, I don't have my parents here, and I'm lost, and I don't know what to do. And I'd no sooner said those words than I felt a voice in my mind, and that voice stopped me in my tracks, and it said, yes, you do know what to do. You know exactly what to do. Your parents have set the standard for you, and they have led you for your entire life, and now you know exactly what to do. And I just thought, I do. I know exactly what to do. I just get up and I just go forward with each step, exercising faith and moving forward. Death really is the great. It's the great humbler. What I mean by that is that with all of our technology and with all of our learning and with all of our advances in this world that we live in, death is still the great mystery. And all we can do is exercise faith and hope. And in many moments, I have been so grateful for the tradition of faith that I've been given to me by my parents. It's the greatest of inheritances to have a heritage of faith, because it insulates and protects in difficult moments. And life has so many of those moments. And life has a way to knock you down and to make you bleed and to take your breath away and make you gasp. But faith in God provides a calm and an assurance that He has everything in order, and all we need to do is to just trust Him. And anyway, these are some of the thoughts that I've had since Mom and Dad, within 6 months, have both passed away. And now it's on myself and the other siblings to take the things that we've been taught and the lessons that we've learned throughout our lives from our parents, and now to go forward faithfully and strong. And anyway, again, nothing prepares you for that event and of losing parents. But I do have a calm assurance that they are close by and that they are very aware of the challenges and the things that we're going through. And one leader in my particular faith, President Eyring, commented once when his mother passed away, and his own father, just as his mother had passed, he turned to his son and he said, "A little girl has gone home." And I'm so grateful for that wonderful little girl that Heavenly Father sent to this world to lead me and guide me and teach me and inspire me and love me. I'm so grateful for that little girl, and she's safely home now. And now it's my turn to follow her example and to move forward in life. Anyway, those are a few of my thoughts on that subject. And thank you.